Definitely. Ma'am, also while we are talking about Excel, are there any other tools that can actually help student with hands-on experience? So would you share those tools names so that our viewers can have a better understanding and can get easier with financial tools? Comes great failures in hand too. So how do you handle failures or experiments that don't yield the expected results? So that one feeling that really brings that hollow within you, how do you get over that feeling, and what is the right way to get out of it and motivate oneself again? Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Skilled Sapiens podcast, where we delve into the journeys of professionals who have made significant strides in their fields. Today, with immense pleasure, I welcome Dr. Manpreet Kaur, Associate Professor at Soil School of Business Design. With over 18 years of teaching experience, Dr. Kaur specializes in data analysis, financial modeling, and derivatives. Her work focuses on innovative financial models and enhancing strategies for dynamic market conditions. We welcome you to the show, ma'am, and we are looking forward to have the conversation with you.
Thank you so much, Harshita, for this lovely introduction. I look forward to the interaction with you on the topic.
Okay. So, ma'am, before we start this conversation, we'll talk a little about your early life and your educational background. So, it's also easier for our viewers to understand. So, can you please share with us your early life and what sparked your interest in the field of finance?
Okay, so thank you for this question, Harshita. If I talk about my early life, my early life has been very simple, right? I was not very bright student in academics, and I used to dislike studies. Right, most of my time was spent outside playing games and all that stuff. Right, I was good at in drawings and reading books, but I was not very inclined towards studies, and I was a below average student, right? So sixth onwards, I think it is my father's guidance and his preachers and his he's the one who inspired me and who intrigued my interest towards academics, and he made me understand what is the importance of studying, and you have to maintain that minimum hygiene. So he's the one who inspired me, and he ignited that spark in me towards studies. And I till my class 11th, I was second in my class, and this is just in the 12th I was the school topper and got admission into SRCC. So it was the big achievement for me, and all credit to my father.
Honestly, I was going to ask you about your academic journey, but you pretty much covered it all. Moving forward in this whole journey, as you said, you were not really that bright. You were not really into that studying. Was there any major moment in life where you were like, "Oh yes, finance is the drive that you were looking for," or "Okay, this is the moment that I was, waiting for." So, what was that one moment?
Okay, so let me tell you, generally students they misunderstand this concept that if they have inclination for numbers only, then they can do finance. So let me tell you that I was average in mathematics, right? So my interest was most towards science until class 10th, and beyond that it was into accountancy. Right. So it is not important that you should be very good at numbers when you have to pursue a career in finance. But it is the basic instinct that people love money, right? Everybody wants money. So if you're passionate about money, you are passionate about being independent, so I think finance come naturally to you, right? So you don't have to be being guided for anything, right? So things you learn on your own. And I think another thing is that since the family background to which I belong is like, my mother is she was a teacher in government school PGT, and my father, so a middle class family where important part of every day schedule was the discussion happening around in during lunch tables and and during lunch times and dinner times. So he used to discuss economic news with us, and I think from there it sparked that, okay, I should do something. I should know something more about stock markets. He used to do investment, so I was fascinated by like how he's in managing his investment. So I think that sparked my interest towards finance.
That's pretty amazing, you know. It's very I don't know this one word. Like even our parents, you know, every day on dining table, my father, my buddy papa would sit by my side. They would, you know, ask me those normal questions for be it like President of India, general knowledge, and I would always question like what's the reason behind it. But it's actually those little moments that can ignite
True.
so much in a child and can give them that right vision and the path that they can rely on in their lives. Truly something that you know people really need to understand. Personally, I feel I'm a person who has always been scared of math. My mother really wanted me to go on the track of CA, but I couldn't because I always used to think that, oh, it's not something that I'll be able to do. But with you telling that it is never about the numbers and it's actually about the concepts,
Correct.
that's something that makes me feel more comfortable with, you know, the terminology of finance and everything in its world. So,
And you will find most of the people who excel in finance, actually they are not mathematicians or people who are there are people from science background. They do, and they excel in finance. So finance comes naturally to you, I think, I believe.
got it, got it. Ma'am, also there was this one major transformation in your life, which is from being a student to an educator or a researcher. How was that transformation for you? Initially, did you face any challenges, or how was that journey for you?
Okay, so when I completed my graduation at SRCC, the environment was very, very, with the kind of crowd that used to be there at SRCC. Students were more focused, they were career oriented, right? Most of the time was spent in library, or, there was, very less of hanging around, because I think the institution to which you belong to, that has a lasting, impression on you. And when it comes to academics, I think it was my teachers at SRCC, and apart from my mother, of course, because she during her time she was best teacher of the school. So and she had a great fan following when it comes to her teaching. So she was one of the best teachers of her school. And the second thing where I got interested into academics is there were two faculties at SRCC, and they were the ones who, they when they used to go to the class, they didn't carry any books, not even a single piece of paper. It was purely an extempore class, and I was like completely mesmerized, like how can they teach for 1 hour, 1 hour 15 minutes without using a single piece of paper. It was just extempore, right? So there were brilliant teachers, right? And I was fortunate enough to being taught by the brilliant teachers. So one of them was it was Singhania, whose taxation books are very 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 popular, and Girish Ahuja. People used to flock around in the classroom when it was his classes. So what that is the inspiration for me. After that, it was I joined industry for 1 year. I had a flavor of industry working with Genpact for 1.5 year, but I think then I realized that okay, this is not the place where I belong to. I belong to academics because I am a good student and I'm a good learner. And this is the profession I think that forces you to be, a continuous learner, right? So every time we are meeting young students, you know, with different expectations and with different skill sets. So again, if you want to teach them, you have to have something one step ahead of them. So that makes you be a proactive teacher rather than, just reacting to students' requirements.
I am sure, ma'am. The fact that I just got to know that you were also with Genpact for 1.5 years, I am sure that corporate experience also must have helped you learn so much in life. Because time and again we are told how, you know, once you experience something, then only you know its pros and cons. So,
Correct.
so while this whole journey from student to corporate to again being a teacher, in this whole transition, where do you feel your financial modeling and derivative held you so strong and that you were so confident about, you know, giving it back to the students that yes, it was something you want to teach again? And personally knowing you, I know the way you teach, your teaching style, and it's really impressive. That's it. That's that one word that I can say for you. So how did you know it was
Thank you.
something? So how do you
Yeah.
know that it was something that you wanted to deliver to the students and you wanted to help them, have it as the taste for them as well?
Okay. Okay. Let me share. What my experience was. So when I was starting as a student, it is very difficult to solve the problems with pen and paper, right? Every time you have to mug up the formulas, go through the examination process, and so when I was doing my PhD at IIT Delhi, I started learning Excel. So initial years of my teaching was more of a pen and paper based things, but then I realized that this is not something which industry demands, right? They want students to work on Excel sheets, and I think they want students to be more tech driven, right? Solve the complex problems with simplicity, right? So the objective is not to make them, understand and mug up the formulas and get your scores right, but to teach them or make them competent to handle, the industry, make them industry ready. So when I was with Bharati Vidyapeeth, it was the first time I took a course which I introduced as a value added course to the students of MBA, because since it was a university system, so they have their own curriculum. But if you want to build on the competencies, faculty were given independence to introduce a value added course. So it was a value added course, but a 2 credit course, and it was on financial modeling. So there I got interested in making the business models and financial models, making their lives and my life simple using Excel. So when it comes to pen and paper, many students, they are not interested, but if you do them and teach them through Excel, right, tell them what to do, how to do it, I think they find it interesting, right? And students they are glued to your sessions. I think this is something which I liked first, and then I delivered it to the students. And when it comes to derivatives, stock market, we like most of the students, even if they are not from the finance domain, they are very fascinated. They do a lot of investment, right? At young age, now students want to be financially independent, right? And you must have seen there is this drastic increase in the demat accounts being opened
Yes,
in
ma'am.
India, right? So even if they have small amount of money, they explore, various alternatives to multiply their money. So stock market is one aspect, but derivative market is something which complements the stock market. So again, it is little complex, right? It is very, sometimes I feel it very difficult to, make students understand the complexities of derivatives. But if students start initially through stock markets, small investment, right, and then they can later on, understand the nitty gritties of derivatives. But of course, I completely agree that understanding derivative markets is a little complex. But let me tell you,
Definitely.
financial modeling is something which I think which is very fascinating.
Definitely. Ma'am, also while we are talking about Excel, are there any other tools that can actually help student with hands-on experience? So would you share those tools names so that our viewers can have a better understanding and can get easier with financial tools?
Right. So I think, Harshita, Excel is something which is a very powerful tool, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So when we have a reasonably good amount of data, right, Excel can do wonders, right? You should know how to do it, right? So there is an expertise level which varies from basic to advanced.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
you can do a lot of things in Excel, like what if and all that. But if you talk about the complex software, so you can shift, for yourself. When it comes to data visualization, you can work on Power BI and Tableau. Or if you want to do a lot of intensive data, you can make use of RStudio and Python also. So if you want to go from simple models to very complex model, you can make use of Python for that.
Got it, ma'am. Ma'am, also, we also got to know that you were a researcher initially, and your teachers were the ideas that motivated you to enter the field of academia. Ma'am, how do you feel your research also integrated with your teaching methodologies? Like, what were those small scopes that were a part of the same?
Okay. So if I tell you the truth, see, when it comes to teaching, when I started research, I had no idea. It was just that I have to get the checkbox ticked, because PhD is something which is required to be into this profession, right? So when you
Yes,
are a part
ma'am.
of higher education institution, right? So PhD is something which was a mandate. So I took PhD program. Fortunately, I got into DMS, Department of Management Studies, IIT Delhi. And for at that point of time, I had just one motive in mind, that I just have to finish PhD because I have to teach in HEIs. So this was the initial assumption, which when I chose this program. But as time passed by, I think I got interested into research, because research is something which keep you abreast with the latest knowledge on that particular topic, right? Suppose if you take up any subject, theoretically books will tell you the fundamentals, but what are the current practices, what are the contemporary issues, it is something which you get through research, right? When a particular theory is laid down, or a foundation is laid down, how much relevant that particular foundation is in current times, I think that is what is complemented or corroborated by the research. So when I do my classroom teaching, there is something which way I do is that I take up fundamentals with my students, do something, and apart from that, to make them apprise, or to apprise them with the latest trend, I complement them with a research paper related to that particular topic. Initially, students find it really difficult, because it is a mix of statistics. You have correlation, regression, because when you do research, you make use of research methodology and techniques, which is somewhere different.
Yes,
But I
ma'am.
think that adds value, and it complements your class. So for every subject per se, I think that it has to be supported by few relevant research papers to that. And I think
Got,
that builds student confidence.
yes, ma'am. Got it. Also, ma'am, when we talk about these methodologies and this research paperwork is an entire new world from finding that exact gap that you want to fulfill for your audience. Ma'am, was there any one particular research paper that you still feel really connected to, that you actually think that has brought and change and that people needs to know more about?
See, I have basically gone through research papers related to my thesis work, which was on foreign direct investment. So there are certain theories which are laid down in FDI, old theories, right? Apart from that, I keep myself open to different research areas, right? So recently, there is a lot of work which is done in triple entry accounting, right? So since the last 5 years, there is a lot of work which is being done on triple entry accounting, which is using blockchain. So many people don't know about it, right? So this thing, so one after the other, and another paper, like another author which I like to read is Damodaran, right? He's a popular name when it comes to business valuation. So he keeps on writing about valuation practices all over the world, right? Whether it comes to startup financing, or whether it comes to private equity valuation. So I think these things keep you apprised of the latest trends.
Got it, ma'am. Ma'am, anybody who's starting their journey into research or finance, what are those initial recommendations that you would give them or advices that they really need to know before starting? Because as a person, myself, who was scared of finance, I somewhere or the other couldn't find that perfect guide for myself who could, really tell me that it finance is not really about numbers. It is about, that concept building. So apart from this one line, what all would you want a person to know before entering such a field?
Okay, so first thing is start reading, start talking to people. Holistic, what different job opportunities. When you look for different job opportunities, I think that creates that motivation to know more about that particular subject, right? Nowadays we are living in an internet era. A lot of information is available on the web. There are few websites like Corporate Finance Institute, you have Investopedia, you have Wall Street Mojo, right? You can start learning simple concepts through these websites. Later on, you can assist them with the advanced modeling and Excel with regular teachings. You can enroll for 6 month certification program in financial modeling as well. I think that gives you a fair idea right? So initially you can spend some little sum, or you can undertake free courses. Once you develop interest, I think then you should go ahead with doing some a 2 year program or 1 year program with some good institutions.
Uh, okay, ma'am. Ma'am, while we also bring this understanding, when a person enters the field of finance, were there any recent developments in the field and in the industry that can, also motivate a person to enter? Like you said, that people nowadays are more aware about stocks, market. They really want to increase their money. What are those newer industrial developments that have happened in recent years that too are a strong indicator that finance is something that people can really enter and, flourish their career in?
Right. Harshita, I feel really happy when I listen to my students, right? They are interested in fintech. They want to know more about alternative
Yes,
investments.
ma'am.
They want to explore various ways of trading, right? So one trading is that you have your old portals and you are trading on that. Now there are students who are working on developing the algorithms of their own. So there is a new thing like algo trading, right? Which is using AI and machine learning tools for stock market prediction and analysis. Similarly, students are quite fascinated about fintech, right? How they can use technology to create the financial products, right? One of the important aspect which we teach at our Soil School of Business Design is design thinking. So how they can integrate that design thinking into developing the financial products which are apt for the companies as well as for the customers. So student can explore the areas like fintech, blockchain applications in financial sector, which is BFSI, or they can look for something like algorithmic trading.
Got it, ma'am. Ma'am, also like you said, this concept of design thinking. We also would want to talk about AI. How strongly do you feel AI has also impacted the field of finance, and how it has changed the industry? And what do you feel the next 5 years or 10 years of finance and research works in the industry look like?
See, I think AI has made life quite simpler, but let me tell you that AI cannot replace human intelligence, right? And
Definitely,
I
definitely.
completely resonate with my thinking with this particular thinking, right? You can give, there is one case which I have written recently, right? It is something related to accounting. When I tried to put that case into ChatGPT, I couldn't get the solution, right? So that was the beauty, like how you create the problem, right? Even chat gpt or AI tools, they get confused to come out with the
Definitely.
correct solutions, right? But let me tell you, AI is definitely supporting the way financial products are being created and being keeping in mind the investors requirement. So I think the process has become a lot simpler, right? Do you remember the times like when we used to withdraw money, we used to have a token in our hand, wait for our turn and get the money. So starting, we have evolved from that stage to this stage where you just have to, with a click of finger, you can transfer the money. So it has made life very very simpler. And again, there will
Definitely.
be a lot of advancement which are going to happen, right? Because students coming up with their new ideas, students like you who are fascinated, want to create innovative solutions, work for the problem solving, I think advancements are going to happen,
That's
right?
right.
But again, data privacy, that is the major concern when it comes to AI. And even companies, they are, if there is one data breach happening, so that creates a lot of cost for the company,
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
So the benefit is actually, overrun by the cost which the company has to bear. So data privacy again remains the major bottleneck when it comes to application into financial aspect. You must have seen a lot of
Yes,
financial
ma'am.
frauds happening, right? So cyber attacks happening. So I think that is where we need to have a sound system of data security. Only then you can reap the full benefit of AI into business.
Definitely, ma'am. Um, this is of course so much knowledge to take in. People definitely do need to understand, that having their data secure is way important than, creating more and more data. So
Correct.
definitely something that people can really, understand and bring in functioning in their own organizations. When I also talk about organization, ma'am, you have had 18 years of experience, which is immense time to have so much learning. When we talk about collaboration, how important you feel it is in your field or any other field, and can you share any one such experience where you felt like teamwork elevated your work or it really brought the perfect sweetness to the result?
There is no denying when you work as a team. I think the output is always better, better when you do it individually, right? But you take an example of research, right? So research is something which is some if you do it in a collaborative manner, I think the output you are going to get out of it is very meaningful, right? And so I have collaborated with other peers when it comes to research work. It's very difficult to write research work as a single author. So I have collaborated on various research projects with people across different institutions, and I think I've got some good publications out of that. You are not audible, Harshita. You are on mute.
I'm really sorry. With that, we are moving towards the end of our podcast. I have this one last question, which I'm sure a lot of people will relate to. Uh, with great opportunities comes great failures in hand too. So, how do you handle failures or experiments that don't yield the expected results? So, that one feeling that really brings that hollow within you, how do you get over that feeling, and what is the right way to get out of it and motivate oneself again?
I think failures are a very important part of your life. You cannot appreciate the success if you have not failed in life. So if I give you examples from my life, when I initially applied to for PhD program to a Faculty of Management Studies, Delhi University, I couldn't get through in the first attempt. I was a little disappointed. I think I was not prepared. And then I tried to figure out like what went wrong, why I couldn't clear that. So there was something wrong on my part. So then I analyzed that I was not able to handle questions, and research was something where I was new to that particular area. So I searched more, I researched more about it, and prepared well for that. I think then the next thing I applied to DMS, and I got into Department of Management Studies, and I could appreciate myself that okay, since I have done, I have researched, I have really worked for it. That is why I have got it. So and the one more thing, Harshita, I think you should have a balanced life, right? So if you have success all the time, again, you are, then there is no fun and there is no celebration, right? If there are all the failures, again, you become in the stage of neutrality, right? So I think you should have a balanced life, few successes and few failures. I think that makes you a very balanced and satisfied person. So if you are I think being an all rounder, right? I think that gives you a lot of satisfaction. So there can be failures, there can be successes. It is how you feel satisfied about yourself. If your consciousness is right, your values are intact, right? So and you have your integrity and ethics, maintained. I think you are a successful person. It is not counted by the money you have, by the degrees you have. It is something which comes from within. So that is what I.
I feel post this podcast, this balance is something that I'm going to keep with me for the rest of my life, because being a student all my life, I have felt like, oh, I missed out on something. Oh, I could be really better at this. So somewhere or the other, that would not help me feel content with myself. So I guess this balance was something that I really needed to hear today, and
Absolutely.
which I am going to keep with myself for the rest of my life. With that, Manpreet ma'am, thank you so much for sharing your insightful journey and experiences with us today. Your dedication to the finance education and research is truly inspiring. There is no doubt. For our listeners who are connected today with you, I really hope they go through your LinkedIn, they check your work, and with that, I can really tag your LinkedIn account for people to connect with you. Thank you for being a part of today's podcast.